never do what I just did. I sat down and transcribed my notes from the first viewing of The Rise of Skywalker. I transcribed my notes, and after I finished with my notes, I went back and started watching other YouTubers' videos, and they stated exactly my thoughts on almost every scene. So watch them instead, if you're still watching. Nothing I say will be really that much different. Thanks to The Last Jedi, my expectations were pretty low. I expected less, and I was still disappointed. Before I get into this one, I need to make the statement that all of these actors are competent, talented people in their profession. We've seen them in better properties and in better roles. They've all been in better written roles. Adam Driver is a fellow prior active duty Marine. Kudos. Rah. If it were not for these movies, they might have lived happier lives. I know of one that may still be with, well, 2, 3 that may still be with us. The quality of these movies do not sit wholly on the shoulders of the actors. These, the ones that are on camera, should not receive the brunt of the blame. The studio and the directors, obviously. In this case, every big name we have heard since 2014 tied to this project should be to blame. If you ever run a video game, you know in a few days you need to return it, so you activate all the cheat codes so you can get the storyline. You really don't care if you get a gamer score or trophies. You just want to get as much of the story and as much value out of your entertainment dollar as possible. So you use the cheats and you get the story over with, going through one level enemies as a level 50, and nothing seems difficult and nothing is really at stake. It's not difficult at all. Your character is way overpowered for the level you're on, and you really don't feel any sense of accomplishment. You just need to beat it for the sake of beating it. That's the Disney franchise. Like I said, if you have not watched other reviewers or channels, you've probably ignored the internet by this time. My gripes are pretty much the same. It took me 4.5 hours to watch this 2.5 hour movie. It felt like a lot longer than it should have for what it should. I just watched Red Letter Media, and they made the statement. They should have, what they did in this movie, they should have done in half of the previous one. It felt like a week of awful in the span of a couple of hours. Everything really happens really fast. It seemed like the writers were on meth while playing video games and trying frantically to pump out a script. It really should have been called Disrespect the Video Game, the Movie. If your loved one passes on and a major corporation uses their likeness for monetary gain, would you be upset? I know I would. I heard Gary from Neurotic mention they just slapped the entire Fisher family in the face and continued on through the entire fandom. More on that. So the whole thing flashes forward and sideways and backwards. Who is Kylo fighting on the snow planet? Nobody knows and nobody cares. Okay, so on the video games line, do you remember Turok Dinosaur Hunter? Do you remember ever playing that without reading the comic book that came with the game? The game itself required you to read a little comic book that came in the box with it. And if you didn't read that little comic book, You had no idea what was going on at all in the video game. It just goes, MacGuffin, find quest. You're just dropped in the middle of this game, and it says find the totems or something. There's no backstory. There was no point. There's no plot. It's just game. Go. That was horrible. It was a bad game. I remember using the cheat codes to finish that game. I remember rage quitting because there was no intro. The game had you blindly complete the task. So you start off the game, one objective, then you start that, and then it gives you all these other objectives in the game. And you have no idea why you did. Why are you suddenly hunting dinosaurs when there's aliens and lasers? I don't. Yeah, I would have to go back and play the other games or something. That's this whole movie. It's Nav Point the movie, MacGuffin the movie. What's up with the hyper transitions? I don't get that. They did like this super fast Ken Burns wipe, like old school George Lucas did the swipe or the panel. It faded in, side scroll type of thing. This was all over the place, jumping around. Scene. I don't have that much GNC crack. I'm sorry. The editing's bad. There wasn't really any time to absorb what you just read directly after the title scroll. And by that, I had to speed read that too. That was fun. They ripped off the map fade from Indiana Jones where you're doing plot points. They ripped that off. Okay, so there are only two of these little beacon things. The MacGuffin, the MacGuffin plot. Go. Batman bought more than 2 masks because he knew he would need them. If not for appearances, just so no one would catch on to some things. Of these 2 beacons, one was sitting in a cement box in the middle of a snowy forest. Why? That's where I would keep my sat-nav to the most dark, secret, secluded point in the universe. So the little Guitar Center sound box suddenly makes TIE fighters travel through hyperspace or for whatever. I get that. That one I can totally believe that TIE fighters now travel through hyperspace. It's been 30 years, technology advances. Here you go. And suddenly Palpatine's back. And we all know why. Snoke was nothing and nobody. They didn't have a story arc. From the first movie to the third, 7, 8, and 9. They didn't have there's no overarching story to go for all 3 movies. I mean, at least Lord of the Rings had one. So when Kylo finds Palpy, we find out Snoke was just a clone puppet, and move on before your head hurts. I was expecting Palpatine to at least look at the camera and say, "Moisturize me." So Mumra now has the Dark Force power to raise thousands of Star Destroyers out of what looked like ice. The remnants of the Empire just literally chilled for 30 years. No families. What kind of logistics are we talking here? They just waited? No. Why do these new characters think they own the Falcon? The Millennium Falcon belonged to Han Solo and Chewbacca, maybe Leia, not Rey, Poe, or Finn. The line of ownership should have at least been next of kin, or the co-owner of that vessel, Chewbacca. The Chewbacca, the guy that works on it, the guy that should have property rights. I don't get that. It just So later later we do see Lando on the Falcon, but again, that makes as much sense as the Millennial characters flying it, the new characters. Lando would have had a new starship by now. Being a fleet general at all, or a prior fleet general, he would have, I don't know, won another ship in a hand of cards. In the ice caves, when R2 gets the coded message, why are we still using text instruments? Why are we still using a TI-99 to transfer data? They couldn't have dropped a floppy drive. There you go. No space USB. No thumb drives. They did it in Rogue One. It's established we have that technology in long ago and far away. Why couldn't they have done that? 30 years worth of technology from 1977 to now. Look how much that technology has progressed. I know I'm nitpicky on this, but Disney did this to me. Even a casual fan would start to catch on with stuff like this. Yeah, Return of the Jedi had the stupid Lord of the Fly teddy bears, but it's usually the one gripe I get from the trilogy. Maybe the incest kiss. That's whatever, which now is tradition in the series. Rey is now an Airbender Super Saiyan who is totally bored with lifting rocks. She is Saitama. Rey is One Punch Man with none of the charm or wit. At least we get a training montage. You gotta have a montage! Gotta have a montage. Take that, fanboys. Now you can't say Rey is a Mary Sue for knowing everything without training. She had training. She also reads languages she's never seen before. So you gotta have a montage! We get the fast-paced dialogue with understudies. This reminds me of the vaudeville characters from Family Guy. This is only at the 15-minute mark. Everyone takes massive exposition dumps when they're on screen. It feels like a bunch of history majors strung out on Adderall telling me minor logistical problems of World War II. It didn't mean that much and didn't change the outcome of the daily tasks or the overall war. Unnecessary. Kind of like this movie. From a certain point in the game, I mean movie, you can tell what the end is going to be, even without the leaks. Oh, by the way, all the leaks were true. Doomcock was right. EVS was right. Maz Kanata has butthole eyes. They brand and lead Carrie Fisher. The Crow was better than this movie. The Crow 2 was better than this movie. The Crow series was better than this movie. So somehow Rey gets Luke's theme? Why does Rey get Luke's theme? I mean, she has her own theme, but she gets Luke's theme. Once again, Bruce Wayne would have planned better than these people. Batman had closets full of masks and helmets. Why couldn't Kylo Ren, the supreme leader of the New Galactic Empire, couldn't buy a new helmet? He had to have a monkey glue it back together? It's stupid. The Knights of Ren and Stimpy are introduced by a stormtrooper conversation. That was awesome. Yeah, Knights of Ren. We couldn't have gotten like a 300 intro, like Kylo barking out Knights of Ren, or just stating Knights of Ren, and all of them go, huh? That would have made sense. If they did a call to battle or something, Knights of Ren. No, it would have broken from the meth pacing. Sorry. This is the 20-minute mark. And in the most forced, forced, like crammed down your throat moment where they did that stupid zoom in across the conference table. Kylo has to choke out a coworker in an office meeting because Vader did it. But we have to go, ah, look! Where'd the scene go? Ryan from Screen Rant stated very specifically my thoughts on the Space Burning Man. That was nice. And that comment of, 42 years. Thanks. Get it? 42 years? I'm sure the cute pig Fraggles will sell toys. They treat 3PO like crap. Like, from the original trilogy, yeah, he was a tool. He's an inanimate object. He's a robot. I get that. Looks like I have to start this over. It's like I was saying before my poster fell. C-3PO is a tool. Read into that what you will. Where's his red arm? I thought he had a red arm, and that was like a big plot point, but they never ever set that up. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan Johnson, for explaining that for us. This movie kind of feels like if you're watching a subscription-based show, you're watching Jack Ryan, and for 4 episodes, you're just trying to get through it to get the plot points. I know most people don't do this, but you're just trying to get the location settings and plots and whatever, the overall theme. So you're just tapping the forward button because you got to be at work in 40 minutes. So you watch 4 episodes in 20 minutes. They're an hour or more a piece, whatever. But you just fly through them real quick, and then you get to the 5th episode, and you're like, well, what were all those details I was supposed to know for this one? Who's that guy? Who are those people? What location did he? Where is he now? Now you're confused. That's what this feels like. It doesn't give you time to actually absorb any information. It's just thrown at you, and you're supposed to believe it and go along. Blah. It's man. Yeah. So at the Space Burning Man, this really bugged me way more than it should. But at the Space Burning Man, a stormtrooper takes an arrow to the face. What use is that armor? It doesn't stop rocks. It doesn't stop blasters. It doesn't stop melee weapons. It doesn't stop ballistic weapons. What is it used for? In Mandalorian, we see Mando's armor protect him against blaster bolts. Cool. We got some bulletproof armor now. Or, laserproof armor. Why don't the stormtroopers have any of that armor? It's been 30 years. In 30 years, we developed, like, all kinds of stuff for Kevlar, come on! The sappy plates. That's compressed carbon fibers. At the very least, some kind of space dragon skin. Nothing? Those they're not stormtroopers, they're Mighty Duck Troopers. The Mighty Duck Troopers should have something 30 years later. I mean, our own DoD changes camouflage and body armor every 5 years. You'd think that Space DoD can't come up with a ballistic helmet in 30 years? So, arrow to the face, Billy D shows up. They need the space effects box so they can get Navi to tell them to listen. They make a big deal out of Poe hot wiring a speeder, which I don't understand because that's half of avionics, man. Come on. What does it matter? You're running for your life. Hey, cool. Thanks. You hot wired. Move on. The Mighty Duck Troopers use space motorcycle trebuchets. I don't get this. I don't understand the. It's established that there are, hovercraft here. Use that. In A New Hope, The original, like, dirt poor Luke has a sand speeder. I don't know. I get why everyone says they fly now. Their whole gripe on they fly now. It was stupid. It's one of my gripes as well. Why does everybody have to be comic relief? Everybody has to be comic relief except Rey. Yeah, if that's not Mary Sue, or at least one of the tenets of being one. Stormtroopers have flown since episode 2, man. This is 9. You guys, the myth of Luke Skywalker, but you don't know about flying stormtroopers. Okay. All of the chase plot convenience for quicksand. That was awesome. Which was one of my gripes. Plot convenience is one of my gripes in The Last Jedi. But none of it made any sense. Why does everyone... whatever. So, all of the chase plot convenience happened so they could land in quicksand. If they didn't land in the quicksand, they would have never found any of the other things. The story would have never continued. So everything that happens in this story is like rail system video game. These things have to happen so these other things can happen. If they never fell in the quicksand or the space beads or whatever that was, the end. Credits. There's no real urgency or danger because of this. They're just conveniently dumped into a cave that didn't cave in conveniently, next to the convenient plot device they weren't looking for in the first place conveniently. This is 32 minutes. We're at 32 minutes in. That one MacGuffin would have been the linchpin to the whole thing, but it seems like a quest game. Again, as I stated before, it could have gone forward without that item. Again? Whatever. So, I don't get these things that keep happening. The dagger thing was like an optional side quest, but it's the actual linchpin for the rest of the game. So it's not really a side quest, it just happened. If you ever play Area 51 where you have to shoot all these aliens crawling up the walls and things, it's like if you didn't shoot that one alien, you can't move forward in the rest of the game. So, whatever. Plot convenience, the movie. They find a space snake. Rey is now Neil Patrick Harris from Starship Troopers. Achievement unlocked, force heal. At this point, Rey is better than Luke. Why didn't Master Luke use that to stop the Rancor, the whole mind thing? The stupid the stupid lightsaber flip scene was stupid. That crash should have killed Kylo in a massive desert explosion, whatever. I have to move on from this without thinking about it, just like the movie. If the ships run out of gas, why does the ship they found they just happen to find? Plot convenience. The ship that they found has been sitting for decades, and it just happens to start up. But they run out of gas. Knights of Tempe are just observers now. Less... They serve like no purpose really, other than to mildly inconvenience Ben at the end of the movie. I mean, it's just like, Whatever. Rey suddenly taps into the dark side and stops the ship from leaving, and then zaps it. That's the one that Chewie was supposedly on. Oh, when was she supposed to learn this? And from who? I did notice a few jump cuts. That was jarring. The whole movie's jarring. Thank God Hux is killed off. That actor is not, he needs to stick with Winnie the Pooh. Richard E. Grant, who plays General Pride, is a much better actor. He's more menacing. He's more believable. I actually fear the guy. Disney really should have hired a competent, older, more seasoned actor to play the part of General Hux if they needed somebody menacing, not somebody who was just going to go... He was Conan O'Brien, who was very slapsticky. Actually, Conan O'Brien would have been a better choice. That would have made for a much better movie. I'd pay for that one just to see Conan O'Brien. I still have this problem with the C-3PO thing. They couldn't have just like Johnny Mnemonicked an image from C-3PO without killing him since he's not sentient. They don't have hard drives or backups. Maybe an external hard drive in this universe. No copy and paste. No binary. No DOS. Nothing. Okay. So they wiped his memory, and R2 has later uploads his memory. So again, there's nothing at stake. There's no big sacrifice. Everything's just usurped. So, but okay. So by Ghost in the Shell logic, R2D2 is both R2 and C-3PO at the same time because he has both memory banks in his system. Maybe I'm thinking too much about it. Next. So BB-8 gets a pet android. It's a stupid cup on a unicycle. It'll sell toys. Zora, or whatever the female Rocketeer's name is, her armor is stupid. It just the Nefertiti or something, and a helmet, and the rest of her body's exposed. That's fantastic space armor. EVS, Gary, Geeks and Gamers crew, and everyone else has mentioned C-3PO is not supposed to have a factory reset. He was built by Anakin. There's no factory specs. If he was a desktop build, then there's no Dell support or gateway hotline you can call. There's no HP partition for a system recovery. It could have been left out or changed. Nobody cares about C-3PO at this point. This is 50 minutes in. 50-minute mark. Pacing is still an issue. That whole rooftop exposition with Poe, we could have gotten in that. We could have gotten that in the Last Jedi. But we have that space chase scene with the entire 30 minutes of Casino Planet and Rose Finn and side quest. They could have removed that, stuck this in there. Whatever. Repurposed. We had all that repurposed footage of Carrie Fisher. What is with the swearing? The original trilogy had the one line where Han says, "I'll see you in hell," and that was a huge deal. But for a kids movie, that they scream at C-3PO to move his ass. Okay, sure. Thanks. You really needed that. So they get the multipass from the Rocketeer and get on Kylo's ship. The Mighty Ducks are killed en masse. Finn seems to enjoy killing women, as now it is established some troopers are women. Thank you, EVS, for pointing that out. Rey needs no concentration to do the mind trick. Remember, I know it was parody, but you remember in Mallrats where Silent Bob is really concentrating hard, and that was part of it was concentrating. She didn't have to concentrate; she just does spirit fingers. Yeah. So that's the Jedi mind trick. Okay. She seems to have like Highlander spidey sense and force projection teleport fights Kylo. That was it was cool visually, but come on. How does Rey know the dagger's on Kylo's ship? The dagger's not sentient. Chewie I could suspend disbelief for, but not the knife. I want the knife. Next. So, Scooby and the gang cheat code wade through stormtroopers to get off the ship. They've never had that much ease getting off a ship full of stormtroopers. Never has that ever happened. Not like, plowing through them. Cheat code. Maybe I'm missing one. I don't know. Not that I remember. I could be missing. I could be wrong. So I've noticed there's a pattern evolving. It's plot convenience, scene change, Reylo fight. Plot convenience, scene change, Reylo fight. Plot convenience, scene change, Reylo fight. And this happens a lot. I think I counted 3 or 4. General Pride alone, by himself, is more menacing with better screen presence than the entire Mickey Mouse Club First Order. He's low down and cold-blooded. He found the spy, handled it. Done. So, Kylo conveniently has another TIE fighter with warp speed, but not another mask. This whole psychic force space Skype does not make sense to me. Like I get how and why, but in the original trilogy, the Emperor needed a hologram to converse with Vader. There was space Skype there, but it was actual technology driven, not mystic space Skype. I lost my place. By the way, this is the 1 hour mark. Both Death Stars were atomized. And just wait, in a few years, they'll have to do the same kind of thing with, like, the... Oh yeah, what happened to Starkiller Base? What about all those particles? Where'd that go? We got to go all the way back. By the way, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. But remember the Star Destroyer. But what happened to Starkiller Base? Huh. What about all that Starkiller Base technology? We're just going to next over it. Whatever. Yeah, everybody I've heard says there wouldn't be any wreckage. It was blasted into stardust, as they state. There's nothing left to that scale. And both Death Stars were atomized. There shouldn't be any wreckage. Yeah, I just lost my place and reread. Finn is a wasted character. So, okay, so the dagger that they use. And Red Letter Media pointed this out. How convenient that at least a 30-year-old, if not more, maybe 40-year-old, plot device has a thing in it that Rey just knew how to pull out, and it matches up perfectly with the wreckage of the Star Destroyer. How could it have possibly known exactly where to look on the Star Destroyer if it was wreckage? If this dagger was made before the wreckage. So they use the the dagger to summon the Dragon Zord, and Rey steals a schooner. Plot convenience dictates the MacGuffin be stored in the Emperor's private spa on the left of the throne room, which has enough power left for a door to open. The moon-sized space station that blew up into trillions of pieces, and now it still has power. So in this universe, an electric door on a destroyed space station, sorry. In this universe, an electric door on a destroyed space station, it's been sitting for 30 years, still has power, but they can't back up C-3PO on an external hard drive. Nor do they have thumb drives to transfer information to R2. Rey has imaginary Jedi trials. This is the 1 hour and 17 minute mark. That was stupid. The flip out Swiss Army knife double-edged lightsaber was just ridiculous. Like they're stupid. We've made stupid weapons as a species. That's one of them. The next Reylo fight and everything after now establishes Rey has Dragon Ball GT powers, and they are more embarrassing and cringy than Dragon Ball GT. They're more convenient. Adam Driver has a huge nose. Welcome to the club. Leia dies. I agree with Gary from Nerdrotic on this one. Okay, this is my notes. Carrie Fisher had some vices, and she suffered as a result. She is seen overdosing on the Force. Real subtle, Disney. Rey steals Kylo's TIE Fighter, which conveniently has the last Navi on board. She throws an I don't know what I want hissy fit and sets Kylo's TIE Fighter on fire or crashes it. But conveniently, the Navi is unharmed and is conveniently compatible with Luke's X-Wing. Being Sith technology, it's still whatever. It's been waterlogged for 30 years and it still starts. Consistency, I guess. There's a lot of middle fingers to Rian Johnson, so I did enjoy that. She takes Luke's X-Wing and goes to the dark place or something. Plot convenience, scene change, Reylo fight. 1 hour and 28 minutes. I gave up and stopped caring at this point. I was zoning out and looking at Facebook and eBay. A bad movie I can hate. At least it's memorable. The worst you can experience during a movie is boredom. You paid to be entertained, paid to see a show, and if the movie can't keep your attention, they failed. They still have your money. You could ask for a refund, but you have to watch the whole thing. You get the money back that way. All the peripheral characters are played by better actors than the main cast. If Rey was so powerful, then why didn't she raise the X-Wing? She stopped a spaceship from leaving orbit, or at least taking off. So why is Luke struggling as a Force ghost to lift the stupid thing? Whatever. Chewie is treated like a pet dog instead of a main character. I get it, the actor passed away, but come on. Again. Rey gets to the Sith planet at the 1 hour 40 minute mark. The bad guy fleet is so massive they shouldn't be able to fight rebels with their rebels in smaller craft. That's TIE fighters sent out. Why did they bring space horses? What would they think they were going to use them for? Wouldn't that just take up space in the hull? Wouldn't that just take up cargo space? Wouldn't they smell? That's a long trip. Come on. Logistics. Why did they bring space horses in the first place? I would have been really cool to see the space motorcycles. At least there would have been like an excuse as to why there's a some kind of a tire or friction, some kind of motion. They're magnetic. Okay, cool. The magnetic motorcycles on the side of the Star Destroyer and upper atmosphere, where they should have died from, whatever. Not enough. Shouldn't have been enough air. But wait, it's space. So if you're in space, it's different because we don't know how these other planets are. There might be a different atmosphere on these planets. Whatever. What did they think they were going to need the Space Horses for? To quote Angry Video Game Nerd, what were they thinking? Oh, Red Troopers, new toys. Resistance destroys communications array, which blinds the New Order fleet, as if none of the other spaceships had any type of satellite. Or no communications whatsoever. No. Every single... most of the automobiles that are produced now have some kind of GPS. Everybody has a cell phone. They got GPS. Gigantic planet-killing spaceships in a galaxy far, far away. Nobody has sat-nav. So Rey confronts Pappy Palpatine in the clearly Game of Thrones-inspired throne room, while Pappy hovers on an anime ghost. It's an anime metal tentacle thing. It reminded me of Ghost in the Shell, or maybe even Matrix. So they just rip off so many different properties on this movie. The original plan was for Palpatine to be killed by Rey, so she could get possessed by the spirits of the Sith. Put a pin in that for a second. Rey could take the throne and reject Palpatine's offer. By lineage, she inherits the Empire. But Palpatine is going to die anyway. So Ben parkours across the planet, the Sith planet, an hour and 50 minutes in. Okay, so Palpatine wanted Rey to kill him, so she could be possessed by the spirits of the Sith. You can't threaten a suicidal person with death. Death is what they want. All you can do is, attempt to stop them from dying. In this case, it's a power move. I don't get this. Force teleporting is stupid. If force teleporting has always been a thing, why didn't Rey, who is clearly overpowered in this, just teleport in, kill Pappy, and teleport out, like Nightcrawler style? So they're ripping off from other sources again. I thought the dyad was supposed to be between twins. Something in the expanded universe. I thought the dyad was supposed to be between twins. I could be wrong, but Ben shows up to help Rey, and Palpatine siphons off the their essence. Sorry, Palpatine siphons their essence. Why did Palpatine stop? It's the same argument that I had on in Avengers, when Hulk stops slamming, and now I completely went blank. Loki, smashing him into the ground. He stops. Why? He's still alive. Keep going. If that's truly like your objective in the first place, keep going. If this omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent Force user was so great and powerful, why didn't he just suck all the life out of Rey and Ben? Why didn't he just go like full Imhotep and drain their corpses? So Palpatine gets yellow eyes and then wardrobe change. Thank you for Gary from Nerdrotic for pointing that out. Palpatine rips off. Okay, the whole lightning scene. 1, Dragon Ball, your spirit bomb. 2, it's ripping off Matt Smith's Doctor. By the way, he wasn't even in the movie that I saw. I must have missed him. The Matt Smith's finale with the Doctor Who finale, where he spoilers if you haven't seen this one, where he receives a second life cycle, I believe, from the Time Lords in the cracked dimension, and then just like releases all of the Time Lord energy and obliterates all the enemy armada. Complete ripoff. And we haven't seen force power to that level before. Whatever. But again, ripoff. Rey has abandonment issues and hears voices. In the prequel trilogy, we see Mace Windu deflect Force lightning with a lightsaber. It was stupid then, and it's double stupid when Rey does it with 2 lightsabers. How does a Force user, especially a Dark Force user, OD on their own Force power? I thought it was established that the reason why Palpatine had dissolved into this disgusting, crunchy, crispy guy was it was a necrotic thing that happens when you use the dark side of the Force too much. Like I thought that was the deal. Instead of Mace Windu deflecting the Dark Force light, it's your own power. I don't understand the as Drunk 3PO mentioned, the people ODing on the Force. I don't get it. It never happened before, and now all of a sudden it's like a super drug. There are a ton of Dragon Ball ripoffs, and it was so bad I was scanning all the crowds of space aliens for like Piccolo and Icarus during the homecoming parade. The whole fight between, the fight between Palpatine and Rey, as Red Letter Media pointed out, was a complete ripoff of Endgame. I am inevitable. I am Iron Man. I am all the Sith. I am all the Jedi. I wish I had action figures to do that. I'd have to pay for them. Yeah, it was like a Gohan versus Cell fight where Gohan deflects the blast back at Cell and kills him. It's those mechanics. I still don't understand how Rey used Spirit Bomb and Shout Suit herself. How is it that Rey can force heal a snake and not die, or Ben and not die? But when Ben force heals Rey, he dies, and Rey doesn't force heal him back. And why didn't she die? Or why didn't she dissolve into a Force ghost? She's clearly glassy-eyed and dead. That was another world-class BSers and Geeks and Gamers pointed that out. They also ripped off Barry Gordy's Last Dragon in that final battle. Who's the master? I am. The whole thing comes off as a complete weightless, no consequence, nothing's at stake. Except for the nameless, faceless people that are blowing up in the atmosphere, and we don't ever really see them. Like, not to the degree that we saw them before. And someone goes, I'm going down! Oh, no! Like, my best friend from high school, they're dead! It was just, yeah. Oh, look, something blew up. And it was so fast, too. It was so unmemorable. It was just so forgetful. It really feels like, all we have to do is gather the Dragon Balls and summon Shinron, and everything will be fine. Like nothing has consequences. We get the game-winning montage after the in-game ripoff. Chewie unceremoniously gets Han's medal. Butthole eyes, as EVS calls her. Hands Chewie the medal, and there you go. Grieve in loneliness, you dog person that we don't have time to talk to. And Chewie, go to Finray and Poe, quick. Can you give me a second to tear up, please? This is why Red Dead Redemption got such great reviews. Even though they did the complete opposite, where you're not supposed to slow the game down, they slowed the game down so that everything happens at twice the speed that it's supposed to. Or twice the amount of time passes that's supposed to. But everybody I know loves it. Everybody that I know has played it loves the game. Because it's slower paced. Yes, it's the Old West, but it takes time for you to absorb the things that are happening in the game. This movie, man, it's like they're trying to test your reflexes. I know nobody over 50 is going to like this movie. What am I talking about? Nobody over 8 is going to like this movie. So, after we had our montage, we get back to Tatooine, where I fully expected to see the charred corpses of Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. You know, they've been unmoved for 40 years. Rey has stolen Luke's theme, Luke's victory, Luke's place in the mythology, Luke's home, Luke's sacrifice, Luke's color scheme, Luke's X-Wing, Luke's lightsaber, Luke's backstory as an orphan. Everything of Luke's has been stolen by this person. And then at the end of the movie, she steals his last name. These writers are just ridiculous. As the guys from Red Letter Media, like I said, don't watch other people's stuff. I guess you could, because then you can give them credit for it. But Red Letter Media pointed this out. Half of the movie could have been written into the middle and end of Last Jedi. If they removed that whole Casino Planet subplot, they could have had time to breathe, and then add some of this movie on top of it if Rian Johnson wasn't such a jerk. Instead, they gave us like a Florida Man nuclear fuel Warp 9 flyby of the movie we never really wanted. It sucks. It's completely unnecessary. And we could have gotten a Thrawn series or Shadows of the Empire live action. Any mini miny mo on a nerd's bookshelf could have worked. They could have picked any of the volumes of Expanded Universe, even after they decanonized it, and it would have been better. My expectations are now sub-basement. Thank you. Doomcock was right. Solo lost money. Rise of Skywalker sucks. Always fade out in a montage.